Go for it.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to our stream this morning. Thank you so much for joining us. I will introduce all of our lovely players in just a moment, but I want to talk for just a moment about what we're all here doing. This is for Radio Free Wolf, which is a charity stream raising money for the scholarship fund for BigBadCon. So any money that is donated today in the course of our stream will go directly to scholarship folks so that people can make it to the con who might otherwise not have a chance to. I really appreciate the fact I've never been to BigBadCon, but a lot of my friends are huge supporters and adore it. And the thing I keep hearing over and over and over is that instead of welcome and accessibility and, all those good human things being sort of bolted on at the end, it was a convention that was designed from the ground up to be as welcoming to everyone as possible. And that really seems to show in all ways. So I'm super excited that we can all support them today with what we're doing. My name's Jason. As I said, I use he, him pronouns. I am the host of a podcast called The Secret Cellar, which talks about modern storytelling, a lot of it role-playing and other things, heavy focus on Monty Goat Games products, as is Numenera, that you're going to hear from today. And this is going to be a great stream because we have a mix of players with all different levels of experience with streaming. I am also pretty new to streaming, so bear with me. But we've all been playing role-playing games in various forms for a while. And same thing, some of us are quite experienced with Numenera, others new to it. So I'm going to be taking a little time as we play to explain some of the very basics just to make sure that you can keep up with what's going on. So I'm going to go down and have each of you introduce yourselves as players. Tell us a bit about what you do and where we can find you online if needed. Marcy, let's start with you.
Unmute myself. Hi, everybody. My name is Marcy Bellin. I'm the GM for Owl of Lycia, and I am very excited to be on the playing side of a Numenera game. God help Jason.
I've known you long enough to be at least someone.
You're aware. I feel like the last time I played a Mary Poppins robot named Lazinski. So this is going to be good. Let's see here. I'm excited. Today I will be playing Al-Heri, who's a pre-generated character and is a tough glaive who fights with panache. Maybe one of the most extra pieces of art I've ever seen for Numenera, so I'm very excited. Other than this, actually right after the stream, like 2 hours later, 5 p.m. EDT, you can find me on twitch.tv/Little Red Dot, where we will be playing the Owl of Lycia tonight. And then generally I keep my Twitter page updated with like schedule cards, so you can check that out for the rest of it. But that's what we're excited about tonight. That's me.
Jess.
Yes, also unmuting like pro streamers that we are. Hi everyone, I'm Jess. You can find me on Twitter at Bursts of Hope. I've been around a time or two streaming tabletop games. I'm super duper excited to be playing this one shot. I have run it before and it's been different every time. So yay! Today I'll be playing a Jack. And he's probably already got a love interest if I'm being for real.
Kate.
Good job, everybody. I also have myself muted. I am Kate. I use she, her pronouns. You can find me on Twitter as Tolkien Elf. And I am not new to Numenera, but I am new to streaming. And I will be playing Kator today, who is an intelligent Arcus who shepherds the community. I'm a people person.
Gregory, hello.
Hi, I'm Gregory Goldensup. I've read Numenera, never played. This is my first stream, so I am utterly confused beyond words. And trying to get everything functional is unreal. My gaming is D&D. I have a long defunct blog at on WordPress, GameEngineer.wordpress, and this is going to be fun if I don't pass out.
I am very glad to have you on the stream today, Gregory. Let's see, and then finally, Audrey.
Hello, everyone. I am Audrey. I'm at Audrey Arcana on Twitter. Today, I am playing Sidri, who is a civic rate who builds tomorrow. I use she, her pronouns, but Sidri uses he, him. And I am so excited to be playing. I just moved to a new town, so it feels like forever since I've actually played anything. Because I'm still, trying to find people around to play games with, so I'm just excited to be doing something. I will be running various Numenera and Invisible Sun games at Gen Con. I think all of the Invisible Sun games are already sold out, but if you stop by the Money Cook Games booth, maybe I can do a demo for you.
All right, thank you all. The final note, I think, before we begin is we are, as I mentioned, this is a fundraising stream, so we would love if you are willing to make donations during the stream, and as I said, every bit is going to go toward the scholarship fund for BigBadCon. What we're doing is just a fairly simple structure where if you want to pledge 5, I will pull a card from my deck here. These are cipher cards. They are little, pretty powerful bits of magico-technological detritus found around the world of Numenera. And I will pull one of these cards, and then you can choose a player, and I will give it to them, which they can choose to keep with them or not. For today's game players, I'm going to... these particular cards, I'm going to say, are exempt from the cipher limit. So you don't have to sit there and worry. If someone gives you a card, you can just keep it, and it will not cause your other ciphers to explode. The other thing I have available is a artifact. These cost 10, and they're kind of like ciphers in that they're cool things that help the players, but they are much bigger and more useful for a longer period of time. Sorry, I think I got my values incorrect. What did we decide before? Does anyone remember?
5, 10, and 25.
Okay, thank you. We'll do that. 5, 10, 25. And then for 25, I have GM intrusion cards, and these are going to throw a little kink into things and create a challenge for the players to work through. So feel free to make donations. And do we have anyone in... I apologize. I just realized I am not in the Twitch stream, which means I can't actually see comments.
I've seen
there.
Ken. Ken is here. Hi, Ken.
This is something I definitely should have realized and done before we started. I apologize, but let me just get the Twitch chat up and running. I'm currently waiting for the ad to play so that I can see the stream and the chat. All right, let me tell you just a little bit about the world that we are playing in. Numenera takes place a billion with a B years in the future, but it is still Earth. Many things have changed in that time. Civilizations, plural, have risen and fallen. We're in the middle of maybe what we might think is a great civilization, or maybe not, I don't know, but we have certainly accomplished things as humankind. And everything that we've ever done as humans on this planet has just faded away and crumbled into dust beneath our feet. And then maybe after us, another generation of humans came and built new technologies and looked toward the stars or toward nanotechnology or time travel or whatever, and then that civilization crumbled. And this has happened time and time again. We are now in what is known as the 9th world. So all the players are characters in a future science fiction fantasy world who are walking around on layers upon layers upon layers of ancient technology called the Numenera, collectively, that they don't fully understand. it's kind of a MacGyver-y situation. They find a weird thing that looks like maybe it was useful to someone in the ancient past. Push a button and see what it does. There are some players who are a little more familiar with the Numenera, have studied the ways of the ancients, and can kind of make a little more sense of it. Others don't even really care, and they're just making do and kind of living their best life. Got the Twitch stream up. Let me open the chat. I feel very silly. I cannot find the button to show the chat on my browser Twitch stream right now. Can anybody tell me what I'm doing wrong?
In the Zoom chat, if you needed the link directly, Ian popped it in there.
Oh, great. Oh, thank you. Perfect. Oh, cool. I actually didn't know the chat could exist on its own separate from the other thing with the stream, so that makes me very happy. Okay. Let us begin. All right, so you are all waking up early in the morning. It is the beginning of a new day, and let me see. Fission and Sidri, I'm sorry to say, have kind of a rude awakening because the door to your little cottage or hut or, building, whatever you've cobbled together, shakes with like a really rather urgent and strident knocking. And you spring out of bed, and at the door you find Blas, who is the leader of your small town of Zeth. And he is a pretty, he's a friendly fellow, but at the moment he just has an urgency in his eyes. And it seems like possibly the world has ended. He is pounding down your door and demanding your immediate help because some of the Larafons have escaped. And you calm him down just for a minute and find out a little bit about what's going on. The Larafons are a crop animal, or like an animal that is raised in pastures, as part of your town's sustenance, and somehow they've gotten out. And I'm just curious to know, in a sentence or two, what your character is going to do to spring out of bed and go try to solve this problem posed in front of you.
So Sidri is definitely, leaps out of bed, wrench in hand. Oh yeah, just give me 5 hours and I can build a machine.
There is not 5 hours. If we don't catch these things, we are going to be without sustenance. There will not be any cheese, Sidri.
I do love cheese. How about, okay.
Very important.
By next week, I can have built a sort of contraption that will
Sidri,
contain them.
I need an answer before, like, half of them are gone. I need an answer before the rest of them. I'm gonna run over and I've got to talk to Fission. You meet me in the town square in 10 minutes. 10 minutes tops. I'll see you there.
And okay. I can do 10 minutes.
Blas is already out the door. So, Fission, Blas is now at your door, and Blas is he's carrying his cane. He has a cane that he always walks with. He has a mechanical leg, which he favors and uses the cane to walk around on. It's not high technology, but he manages it exceptionally well. He has pretty rough comfortable clothing kind of made from the land, and seems very, very comfortable both with the people of the town of Zeph and also with the surrounding land. Shows up at your door and says, "What are we going to do about this situation? What's your plan?"
All right. First off, who's out there trying to gather them now? Do we need nets? Do we need sticks? What do we need to bring back our production?
I literally came to you first, Vision. No one is out there doing anything at the moment.
Then sound the cry, get everybody out there, start the kids on the east side, start the adults on the west, and we'll meet them in the middle.
Okay, that sounds great. Tell you what, I think Sidri has a plan as well. I'm going to ask you to go meet him and in 10 minutes in the town square, and we'll figure this out, okay?
Okay.
So things are a little calmer over in Ovan. What we're looking at here is there's a valley, collectively called the Vale, that stretches far north to south. And Zeph is placed at the far north end, the little scene that you just encountered. At the very far south end of the valley is Ovan. Ovan is quite a different city. It's a little smaller in terms of land, has a few more people in it, a little bit denser. Ovan has embraced the use of the Numenera, while Zeph is a little more bucolic and a little more rural, farming and agriculture and blacksmithing and, good, hearty ancient crafts. Ovan embraces the Numenera, and by which I mean tries to research technologies from the past and tries to understand how to use them to better their little village. There's a pretty reasonable defense system set around Ovan that is automatically causes a little discomfort to anyone not from the city, even as they approach. And then there are further defenses as you get closer to the center of town. You have a less worrisome morning, it seems, Alieri, Ktor, and Yamu. You are up early as well, but you knew this was happening because the day before, the leader of your town, Lilija, had come to you and had asked each of you separately to be up bright and early to help her to install a new healing turret of some kind in town. Lilija is a student of history. She's been reading a great deal. She has a really wonderfully curated, small but really well-curated library that she's put together. And she had found some old ideas in one of her books that was talking about a way that you could make a central turret that sort of powers healing down throughout the town, so that as you're walking around through the town, you automatically just get a little bit better. And she's very excited and was hoping to have some help installing it this morning. So I am curious from each of you to know whether you showed up on time there, and if so, what you think you are contributing to this project.
I certainly have showed up on time, and it's my hope to see how this project goes and support Lilija however I can and watch how she leads this project out. So I definitely consider her a mentor.
Excellent.
So Yamu is a clever jack who shreds the walls of the world, and Yamu is not a morning person. I'm trying to sip my Numenera coffee, referred to as kofefe, and I have an ability that is called Disrupting Touch, and I can touch an object and create a phase blast that propels me in the other direction. So I'm on one little finger boop, touching the walls, and I'm on skates trying to eventually get to wherever Lilija is.
Most important question I have for you is, what do you take in your kofefe? I'm curious.
Black.
Excellent.
Or brown. I don't know. What color is kofefe? It's purple. Purple cannon done.
Purple kofefe. And Marcy, what is Alieri up to, and how are they-
Well, I wasn't super listening yesterday, so I'm seeing what everybody else is doing and doing my best to mimic what everybody else is doing, but like with a lot more grace. I'm just.
You are also drinking kafefi, but oh my gosh,
mine is like cold brew though.
Yeah, artisan kafefi.
It's artisan cold brew kafefi.
So, based on these stories, I think that the pursuit of the livestock is actually going better than the installation of this tower. But it doesn't matter because all of you, both ends of the valley, are suddenly interrupted by, I don't even know how to describe this. It sounds like an alarm, maybe. Audrey, what do you think the most piercing, annoying possible alarm sounds like to you?
Probably like one of those like industrial fire alarms that goes off in like when it's like a whole building's fire alarm going off, so it's like coming from like every direction, just like that like high-pitched beep that, I mean, intentionally designed to not be able to be ignored, but just like, when you're just in the middle of a building and you can hear it from 3 separate directions and you're like, isn't one of those directions outside? How is this alarm coming from that direction?
Absolutely. So here's a strange thing. You, Fission, are 15 feet away from Sidri, but the alarm you are hearing, every bit as annoying, but fundamentally different. How does it sound to you?
Me?
I'm sorry, Gregory, Fission.
Okay.
Sorry, I completely forgot who I was.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry, no problem. So you also hear an alarm, but different. What does it sound like to you?
It is entirely the original Star Trek Red Alert.
Perfect. So I think that for you two in Zeph, this is it's just a loud alarm. It is absolutely true that it's coming from all directions. Over in Ovan, the same thing is happening, but Yamu, I think that you have a particular bit of insight that, although you hear sound as well, you are aware just from your experimentation with the Numenera that this is actually not a sound you're hearing. This is in fact a psionic or psychic or something projection, which you're not exactly sure how that's happening, but the work that you've done in the past kind of gives you a little insight into that. The one thing that all of you feel deeply at your core beneath the sound of this thing, when you like walk into the kitchen to get something and you walk through the door and you cross the threshold and you're like, and you have to walk back to the living room because you just have no idea. It's that feeling, but like amplified times a million and like crushing your brain for as long as this sound. It is physically painful. That feeling of forgetting something. The alarm eventually stops, and I want to know what your immediate response is. I'm going to pick one of you from each village, so a volunteer, please.
All right, so where am I at this moment? Am I still waiting? Wait a minute. Am I waiting? Why am I in the middle of the village?
Yeah, good question. I think that there was some conversation with Blas, and you collectively came up with a plan, and I think that you were out in the pasture, like, literally doing, wrangling a gate closed or, something tangible at that moment.
Who else is around me?
I think just one random livestock animal that hadn't wandered too far away, and then I think Sidri is nearby as well. I think you're helping each other with whatever the current plan is.
Sidri? What's going on?
Sidri is like holding like a handful of just like various like bits and like metal things, and like dropping them. Like, why can't I hold all these things that I brought with me? And just kind of like, you mean the or the animal or the what?
Oh, did you hear the alarm? What made the alarm?
Oh yeah, I have no idea. If you give me about like 70 minutes, I can make a device that can
70 seconds. 70 seconds.
I got this like cone shaped thing we can use to try to hear it better, but it stopped.
All right. Do we have any idea what direction, or was even there a direction for the alarm?
It really did feel utterly omnidirectional.
Then I'm going to close the gate, make sure that the goat creatures are inside, and then I'm going back to town. If the goat creatures are not back inside, then I'm going to keep gathering them around.
So as you approach the town center, Blas has rushed up to you and has a couple of the elders of the town nearby, and they're obviously, have been having a little consultation. And Blas comes to you and just says, he's got a certain amount of reasonable, confusion or like a defensive fear in his eyes, but he's also got, you've seen this before, he's also got a shimmering of adventure back in his eyes. He is a curious soul, and this is an opportunity. So he says, I've just been talking to the elders, and they're not really sure that we should go and do anything. And one of the, the old ladies pipes up and says, like, I don't know that, I think that this might be the work of, this might have something to do with Oven, and I don't think Oven should have any. And he just kind of ignores her and says, but I think we're going to get a party together, and we're going to go into the valley. Let's go find out what's going on. I'd like you two to come with me. Are you game?
Let's go. Sidri, move. 7 seconds.
Yeah, totally. Let me just grab. I got stuff I need. I'm just gonna.
Come on. Let's go.
Sidri needs to be able to have the materials they need. Go get what you need, but do come right. Don't build anything on the way. Just get your stuff and come back. Over and over, you're all gathered around this tower. At the sound of this, Lilija clambered down the tower, rushed straight back to her library, and she came back with a book. And in the book, she has a map, and she gathers all of you around, and she says, the map is showing, again, the valley north to south. And in the center, there's a series of concentric circles right in the center of the map. And she says, I don't know exactly what's going on, but I'm convinced it has something to do with this. I have read that there have always been rumors about an installation in the very, very center of the valley that was used a long time ago that could alert when something very bad is about to happen. But that hasn't happened in 2 generations. I've never heard the sound before, but I think maybe this is it. I think that we need to go explore and find out what's going on. She says, I would not be surprised at all if this is something that the Zephites are up to. And I will not stand for it. But we need to find out what's happening.
The voices inside your head, it's fine. It was just a little loud, a little fuzzy. It's fine.
The voice inside my head, we all heard it. We all heard it, right?
I heard it.
I also heard it.
Not in our head.
No, it was in your head. That's how it works.
But we all heard it.
The sound that went beep 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 beep. That sound.
No, that wasn't the sound I heard.
Oh.
What sound did you hear?
I mean, the sound I heard just was loud ringing.
Oh, this is very strange. So Lilija is really well built. She has kind of a militaristic, angle to her. She's very good at kind of organizing things and giving clear, curt orders. Usually, though, whenever you talk to her, she has that kind of focused intensity that comes across very quietly, much more like something we need to do, and I need you to go do it. But at this moment, she is like not doing that. She's obviously agitated and like barking orders and talking loudly, which is very out of character for her in the time that you've spent with her. She says, I think it's really important that we go. I've got a device back in my workshop that I think is going to help us to find the way. Meet back here in 10 minutes and take anything you need. Make sure to bring weapons. Don't waste any time.
You're going to send me out?
Yeah, look at you're built for this, right?
Yeah, you're right. I can do it.
Okay, 10 minutes. Got it. Maybe Kofefi will have kicked in by then.
She turns around and gives you a parting shot as she heads back and says, I need you to be serious for once. And then, runs down the street. So, is there any, aside from just gathering, things that are ready to go in your house, is there anything special or particular that any of your characters want to do before you march off down into the valley?
Harry tries on like 3 jackets that almost look the same and like sort of looks at themselves in the mirror before finally settling on one. And then as soon as they leave, they come back in and put on the other one.
Good.
But they grab their great axe, which is a really great axe. It's jeweled, which it doesn't describe what jeweled means, but I essentially just figure it to be like this huge crystal weapon, like one of the crystal gems would use. And they've got a couple of razor rings and a bow. And an oddity, a comb that glows when used.
Oh my goodness.
Comb that glows when used. Fabulous.
Yamu has a critter that is an ability, so I have a little familiar. He's my little critter companion. He's called a Draka. He's supposed to be a little, no, not a little. He's kind of a giant dragonfly, so like one of those toy remote drones. That's how he functions. His eyes become my eyes. I can see things, but he needs a name. So like anyone in chat wants to pop in a name, we can give him a name. I'll like swing back to my place, grab critter snacks, grab my stuff. I'll put on my little leather armors and get ready. I think I have a hammer. It might be rusty somewhere. And a dagger. Not as fancy and jeweled, but it's got a tip. It works. It's fine.
I am going to just walk directly back to my home. I'm all organized. Everything is where I know where everything is. I am going to look at myself in the mirror, maybe throw on a little bit of a stylish jacket or something. I am wearing some very interesting iridescent fabrics that catch the light in various ways as I move. And I have my dart thrower, and darts is my weapon of choice. And I'm going to grab my lightning bug in a glass globe and kind of tie it onto my belt. Hey, Frederick.
I love it.
And I'm going to be back in 5 minutes tops. I might be running. We don't know.
Apparently, this adventuring party is all about the bling.
It is very important to look good when you're adventuring. No
It
question.
is the #1 goal.
I like that the three of you are all like that. Meanwhile, Sidri is wearing like 3 pairs of goggles. That has like this giant sack just full of stuff. Like he's like at his like workstation, just like picking up like 2 wrenches that look exactly the same. Like, do you think I'll need the number 2 and the number 3? Yeah, better bring both just in case.
Good. Yes, we're styling over here.
No. Yeah. Other than
Go ahead.
other than clothes and weapon and Book of Numenera, off we go.
Okay, excellent. So, overnight, as you're wandering down into the valley, Lilija has returned and she has this little, Numenera device that isn't familiar to any of you. It looks like it comes from even another place or time. I mean, like, there is Numenera you're kind of familiar with how Numenera looks and feels as you run into it in your town, and this feels even different. It's got some kind of runes on it of a type you've never seen. It's made of a material that is not immediately familiar to any of you, but she's following some little pulses of light on it, and she seems quite confident that it's, wherever this is leading her, this is where she wants to go. So she's following that. As you walk down into the valley, she refers to it as the Harrow, the valley. So there's the entire valley, the Vale, right, in which the 2 towns, Zeph and Ovan, are contained. But the space between the 2 towns is literally a valley that sinks down. And then she refers to that as the Harrow. And it's pretty clear that although, yes, there are scouts from the town that venture a little bit of the way into the Harrow to get materials or do what's necessary, you pretty quickly reach the point where even Lilija has not seen beyond. And as you're making your way down into the valley, you have a little bit of a chance to talk to her. And she says, she's a little more introspective than usual. And a few things about her as she's walking. So she has one eye that is augmented in some way. It is not a natural eye. It's been replaced by some kind of device. And leading from her cheek up into her eye is a really pretty brutal scar that she's had as long as you've known her. And she's kind of talking to herself and takes Kator into confidence and just says, Kator, something really troubles me about this. I feel like I should know what to do in this situation, but I don't at all. Do you know that feeling? Do you know what I mean?
Of course, yes. I think what we're doing is probably the right move. Gathering information, right? That's the first step to anything. Whether that's organizing an event or, making a decision for a group. Like we've got to know sort of what's going on. Especially if this does mean that there is some danger heading our way. If this is in fact the beacon for danger, we want to know as much as we can in case there's a danger to prepare for.
Yes, that does make sense. Thank you. I feel a little better. I find myself worrying that maybe I've made the wrong decisions about keeping us apart from the Vale and from the Harrow. And maybe this would not have snuck up upon us if we had known a little more information, as you say, longer ago. I don't know. Well, we can do nothing more than do our best at this moment, right?
We can only proceed.
We can only proceed. As she's talking, she fingers the scar that's on her head in a really kind of pensive way, and it seems as though she's reflecting on memories. She's brought with her, of course, everything she needs to travel, but she's also got a little satchel with a couple of books in it, which is not something she usually walks around with. Over on the other side, wandering down from Zeph, Blas is a little nervous and edgy, but excited, and is just, talking and kind of looking at things, leads you down into the valley. And you see at one point this kind of like swampy bubble in the ground that like strange iridescent kind of blobs are floating up out of, and then kind of popping and falling back down into. And he almost seems to forget for a moment even the urgency of the situation, and like he was way more worried about the escaping livestock than he suddenly seems to be now about whatever's going on in the valley. But he is generally kind of leading you forward. But like, look at all these colors. I don't know, I've never seen. Do you think that if we could make? Do you think if we could?
Pause.
Yes. What? Yes. Vision. Yes.
We have a goal. We're heading to wherever the alarm was, right?
The alarm. Right. Oh yeah. There was an alarm, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. We need to find out. Alarm. Right. I'm on it. Let's go.
And once we get back, we'll just like, put one of these in a box. It would need a special box. It would probably have to be made out of what would it have to be made out of? Next week I can get one of these back to the town.
That is an excellent plan. I want to distill this stuff and figure out how to drink it. You're on that once we all get back safely. Okay, where were... Oh, right. The valley, the alarm. Yes, let's go. So you're making your way down. As you move toward the very center of the valley, both of you from opposite ends, you've gone down into the valley, and it's kind of a, like a fjord that you've kind of been in this trench. But you get down to the very middle, and there's another hill as you approach kind of the geographic center of the valley that rises up this way. And then it's obvious that you're going to have to climb up this mountain. It's obvious you have to kind of climb up this hill in the middle to get to the actual center. Lilija has that marked in her map in her book, and also it seems to mirror some of the structure of the device that she's carrying. And she talks about it, and she says, well, this is called the cauldron, apparently. She points to some markings in her map. And it seems as though a lot of the technology that made its way to us, and a lot of the sort of agricultural knowledge that made its way to Zeph, came from here in the cauldron. That's what I've read notes about that. I don't know what that means, but there's marginalia to support this idea. I'm not sure what we'll find in there. So she starts making her way up, and you both are coming from opposite sides. There is, hey, we have a donation from CDB122869. Thank you. I'm so grateful. That is our first donation of the day, as far as I am aware. On the way up, and we haven't done much of this, I'm gonna dig a little bit into the skill system of Numenera. Unlike something like D&D, all of the statistics that all the players have don't represent kind of the absolute value of how strong or smart or whatever they are. It's a pool of resources to be spent in the way that the players want. So one thing Numenera really prizes is giving players agency. If you have a lot of points in your might pool, you can spend if there's some Herculean task that you want to undertake, you can choose to spend lots and lots of points from that, depending on your circumstances, to be able to be more likely to succeed at a given situation. And then, but then your pool will be depleted, and you'd have to either refill it in some way, or it can cause problems for you if you don't. But what this means is that it's sort of a little more of a resource management situation. So a character who is very strong and has lots of points in their speed pool can undertake lots of heroic speed-based actions in a day without getting too tired, whereas but if they have only a little bit of strength, then they might be able to do a cool thing once, but then they're just kind of done. So that's a way that the stats work a little differently in Numenera. You Zephites, as Lilija would call you, have come upon a hitch. You're climbing the mountain, and there is a sheer cliff that looks like at some point this whole thing has kind of caved in, and there's this pretty stark rock slide that you either need to like walk a very, very long way around, it looks like, or you need to find a way to get up this rock wall. So I'm going to have you figure out how to do that, and we'll use that as an opportunity to see how the skill check system in Numenera works.
Yes! Kofefe is checked in. Yamu is ready. Looks at the cliff and is like, oh, well, okay, good thing. I'm here to save the day. And as a jack, I get a flex skill, and I get to choose what I'm trained in every day. Today I choose climbing. What?
Wait, it's us that have come up upon the cliff.
It is what?
Who came up on the cliff?
I did say the Z-fights, but now I'm very curious to see what Yamu's going to do. So I think that the cliff is circular. It is impenetrable. It is circular. It goes all the way around the cauldron, and now both parties have to scale the cliff.
Everyone gets a cliff.
Or something.
Everyone gets a cliff.
You get a cliff.
You get a cliff. You get a cliff.
I attach a string to Glumbus. The string is more like a rope. It may or may not have a grappling hook. And I'm like, go. Be free. Help me. And yeah, that is a thing he can do. That's great. He's just like very undramatically, very slowly ascending the cliff. And you can, like, I can see what he sees. So I'm like, okay, we're almost there.
Meanwhile, I'm just there. I'm just watching it happen and like casually just saying, yeah, I mean, we don't even need to do, we don't need to learn anything. We can just move. Who needs to like research? Just fight anything that comes.
Yes. Good job. I'm so impressed with you.
So is Glumbus, how is Glumbus at climbing? I mean, what's...
Glumbus is a flyer. So Glumbus is flying this grappling hook up the cliff side, and hopefully can like plunk it down.
Cool. And Glumbus, how well does Glumbus take orders from you usually?
Glumbus is a level 1 creature, so is very food oriented, and I did bring along the Glumbus packets of snacks. So here's
what we're gonna say is I don't think this is a terribly difficult ask. I'm gonna say that this is like a level 3 challenge for any interaction challenge, right? This is you like giving Glumbus a treat and then sending them on their way to go do the thing you've asked them to. But it could go very poorly for you if for some reason that fails.
Oh, for sure. Like this cliffside somehow snuck up on us, and it's like no one ever noticed it until we got here. And I'm like super eager to prove to people that I'm useful, and I may have been a little greedy with talking to Glumbus. I'm like, yeah, toss the treat, and I'm like, is it intellect or...
This will be interaction. I think that you are using your charisma to... and the bond that you have built with...
Okay. I will not expend effort. Dice be with me! 14.
14. So because this is a level 3 task, don't worry too much about the math, but you multiply everything times 3 to figure out the die roll that's needed. So a level 3 task needs a 9 without any aid or assistance added to it. 14 handily passes that. And what does Glumbus do with the rope, with the grappling hook once it gets up there?
So upon successfully agreeing to be my grappling hook acquirer, they'll fly up to the cliffside. They'll go past the cliffside, maybe like 10 or 15 feet, because they don't have opposable thumbs, so they can just drop the grappling hook at the most like convenient rock. So it's like plunked into the ground pretty hefty, because gravity.
That works. I think that's good. So you now have a solid rope established there. This is like, it's easy. This is a level 1 check to climb up the rope. So what that means is level 1 times 3 any of you who want to climb up need a 3 strength might check to be able to climb up successfully. If you spend effort from your strength pool to make that even easier, to ease that task by 1 step, you don't even have to roll. You can do it for free. Or if you have a skill like climbing or something else already that benefits you in this way, you can do it automatically.
Oh, it's beautiful. You see Yamu, and Yamu just looks up and starts climbing, but like sticks their legs straight out. So like cliff, and I'm like perpendicularly climbing, and I'm just walking up. I'm like, yeah, cool, you guys, let's go. Yeah. Here's the rope. I did a thing. Aren't I useful, Lilia? Yeah.
What about Kator and Alieri?
Kator is just going to attempt to climb the rope.
You need a 3, Kate.
Oh no.
Don't roll a 2.
I rolled an 8. Yes.
So 8 easily beats the level 3 roll required for a level 1 climbing task, and you climb right up.
My clothing is flapping in the breeze as I climb. Ah, yes.
It does make a magnificent picture. The sun, rising in the morning sky, and your cape blowing
Yes.
on the rope.
Of course I have a cape.
Obviously.
Obvious.
Alieri?
So Alieri is gonna watch Yamu climb. Wait, test it a bit. Smile back at their mentor, and then attempt to climb it as well.
All right.
Shouldn't be too difficult.
You'll need a 3 on the die.
Yep, and I have training in climbing.
Oh, well, then you don't even need to roll. So here's the thing.
Oh,
go ahead.
Oh, well, that's good. I didn't need to roll.
Is there a team intrusion?
There's a team intrusion.
Even if here's a Zen question for you: should a die unattended accidentally fall on a table not related to a roll and yet land on a 1? Does that?
Well, to be a stickler, even the things that we say can be just automatic successes still have an optional roll if you get a 20 or 19.
It's true.
Yep.
I would like to think that you rolled this. Is that okay with you?
I rolled it.
Well, there we go. I think that's good. So here is, I get the extreme privilege. This is a great teaching moment as well. I get the extreme privilege of giving you. Oh, I don't have them nearby.
These pink dice are the devil.
I do.
They're soft. They roll weird. They've got those rounded corners.
Whale.
And I refuse to never use them.
Marcy, on behalf of Alieri, I give you 2 experience points.
Thank you.
So one of these is for you to keep, and I'll talk just for a moment about what it does, and one is for you to give to another player at the table. And
Awesome.
who would you like to do, and what is your justification?
I would like to give that to Yamu because my character is constantly trying to impress him.
Well,
and also, he's going to need to get my character out of this.
Apparently.
So a thing about Numenera is that instead of just a 1 on the die necessarily just being like, hey, something terrible happened, what it presents is a GM intrusion, which is the opportunity for me to spice the story up a little bit unbidden by adding a thing of interest or complication or whatnot. You can use an experience point to block me doing that at you, but usually it's kind of fun because interesting things happen. And then, of course, you can use XP to do other things for character progression later. But in this moment, the climbing actually goes suitably well. You are making your way up the rope, and the grapple holds, and everything seems, seems quite reasonable. But I think that at this moment, Glumbus, having successfully dropped the grappling hook into the ground and now quite hungry from that effort, is flapping down, looking to Yamu for a treat, and ends up very clumsily sort of missing the bag of treats and just careening into you as you're popping up over the edge. So you climb up, and there is just Glumbus in your face. And it causes you to lose your grip for a moment, and there's a chance that you might fall. So I'm going to give you a chance to roll a speed check. This is pretty difficult. This is going to be a level 5 check.
Ooh.
5 times 3 is 15, so to not fall, you'll need a 15 on the die.
All right.
I see Columbus just fail epically, and I'm like, no.
Oh no, I'm going to spend a level of effort on this.
Okay, so spending a level of effort. Do you have edge in speed or no?
I do. So I'm only spending 2 instead of 3.
Cool. Yeah, normally this would cost 3, but you can do this for 2. You will ease this task by 1. So now instead of being level 5 task, it's level 4, which means you need a 12 instead of a 15.
Yay!
That you want to do the benefit that?
Huh?
Is there anything else that you want to or can?
If climbing works for this, but it's not it's a balance test, not a.
Yeah, I think that's more. Climbing up the thing once you've grabbed it, and the grabbing the thing is precisely the problem right now.
Yeah, I think because I'm an experienced climber, I might have tethered myself to the rope, and that could work to my advantage as far as balance goes.
I'll give you that. We'll call that an asset. So that takes it down 1 more level. This is now a level 3 task. You need a 9 or above on the die.
19.
19. So not only do you succeed, but this is a minor effect. Like, you effectively grab the rope, Columbus in the face, you're fine. You just grab yourself. Is there anything else that you want to narrate for me really quick about what your success there does?
Well, because I fight with panache, I'll make it look like I do it on purpose, and I'd like to give an asset to Yamu going forward. On the task.
That's beautiful. Columbus hits you in the face. You're like, yeah, I meant to catch him in the face, and I meant to fall and just do a twirl.
Yep.
I look at you like, are you okay? Is Columbus okay? What the hell?
Well, let me tell you, I bruised up his chest pretty bad with my face.
Your face is so firm.
So, Yamu, next time that you are in the presence of Algieri doing something, yes, you will have 1 asset to that skill check.
Nice.
Right, moving forward. So you scale the wall, you climb over, you move on your way. I'm going to move us on down into the cauldron. That's a little sampling of how skill checks work. So essentially, from a player perspective, you are looking at the task that you want to provide, and then you're negotiating with me to try to bring any assets you have to bear, which might be a tool or a situation or a skill, to try to make that thing easier, and that makes you have to roll less numbers on the die to succeed. All right, you both crest the hill of the cauldron at the same time on opposite sides, and really you can now see what's happening is it's really like when a drop of water lands and in high-speed photography, and you have that sort of crest and then the crown. Well, there's yeah, it's exactly that. There is a crown, sure, I like that. Little droplets of land just surrounding this, but you've come up this thing, you crest it, and then there's a whole kind of dip down into the middle, and you can see a series of concentric rings just kind of formed out of the land, leading down toward an obvious circle that has been built far down below you in the very center of this, that's been terraformed somehow, built out of the land, and there's something glinting in the middle of the circle, but it's hard to tell what it is. So making your way down is going to be easier than going up. You don't see any cliffs or anything else. But of most interest to all of you is that at exactly the same time, you can see the other party, obviously from the other village, cresting the hill exactly opposite you to the north or the south. Any initial thoughts about what to do now or as you make your way down toward the center?
Sidri doesn't really react too much to the other group. It's kind of okay. They're here too.
I'm just thinking, well, they have obviously heard what we heard, even if we didn't all hear the same thing. They've heard something too. So I'm interested to see what they say if we're able to get closer.
Sure. Yeah, I think unless anyone objects, then both groups are going to make their way down. Now, both obviously aware of each other, but they're making their way toward the center. So you make your way down without event and get near to the middle. As you get closer, you can all see that there is, inside of this very central circle, kind of in the middle of the cauldron, there is a what looks like a triangle there's some kind of device or installation or something that's triangle shaped right inside the circle.
Is it flat or three-dimensional?
Yeah, as you get closer, you can see that it's something inscribed flat on the ground, but there's something sticking up out of the middle of it. And as you get closer, it's hard to tell at first what's going on. It doesn't really look symmetrical. And as you get closer, and you're really now at this point, just 30 yards out from it on either side, you can see that there was this triangle in the ground that had some kind of pole-like tower in the middle of it that used to be erect, upright, but has been knocked over or damaged in some way and is leaning really askew across one of the sort of walls of the triangle, so that end of it is just 5 feet off the ground. But when it was standing, it was 20 feet high, but it's been knocked over.
All right, I'm not no physics or anything like that, but does it appear to be decay? I know we're 30 yards away. Are there animals around? Random meteors?
You don't see any kind of environmental effects or animals or something else around it. It does look as though maybe there's like some scorch or like char marks or something on the ground nearby. So it looks like maybe there was an explosion or something that broke that that happened to the device itself that has caused the damage to it.
I am trained in engineering. Could I examine this like more to try to figure out exactly where like this explosion came from?
Absolutely.
Whether or exterior.
Yeah, so I'm going to say that you've got the sort of installation here, and both parties have emerged down, and at this point, everyone's basically standing right across from each other with the device in between you. Are you at this point? Lilija and Blaz haven't said anything. Are you going to like go down past them and go do stuff immediately, or will you wait for them to do something?
No, I'm basically just like, ooh, what's that? And just like go like
cool.
Just walk right up to it.
That's great. So as you're approaching it, you can see that there are, at the corners of the triangle, there are these there are 3 metallic spheres that look like they're sitting on the ground but slightly embedded in it. And then there are blue tubes in between them. They're not transparent, so you don't know exactly what's going on inside of them, but audibly as you get close, you can hear that the tubes are burbling, like there's some kind of liquid passing through the tubes between these 3 spheres to form the triangle. And then the metallic device is actually aimed toward you, like the side of the triangle it fell on is the one that you're approaching. So you get a really good clear look at it. The device it's irregular. It's kind of jagged in shape. It's a little hard to tell. You've heard that this part of the valley was a war zone in the long past, and it's hard to tell whether this was designed in a jagged fashion originally, or if it's just kind of the ravages of time and war and the elements that have sort of corroded it. It definitely looks ancient. There's a metallic shell, but fascinatingly, the metal is like a little tiny bit translucent, and you can see that there's blue lights moving around, kind of like fireflies inside of this thing. So what's the specific question that you're trying to suss out using your engineering observations.
Specifically, I think first I'm trying to figure out whether the damage was from an internal source or an external source.
Sure. So go ahead and give me an intellect check for this. You can use your engineering to boost this. I'm going to say that it's a level 4 check to get, well, I'll say level 3 check to get basic information, but the higher you score above that, I'll give you more information and insight. So as a level 3 check, you would need a 9, but because of your engineering skill, you only need a 6, and you can treat it as a level 2 check. You're welcome to apply effort if you want to reduce that even further.
And I think I am going to apply effort, and I have an intellect edge, so...
Okay, so 2 points from your intellect pool.
Right. Well, I only rolled a 6, but...
Okay.
Hopefully I applied that effort.
So it does succeed. You don't get any particularly deep insight. Honestly, the technology is just kind of alien to you, but it is pretty apparent that it looks as though the device was damaged during the war, like probably knocked over a very long time ago. But it seems as though it's only recently started to malfunction. And there's a very clear, like these scorch marks on the ground are very recent. So you think that what happened is it fell over or was knocked over and just kind of kept working, but there was stress and strain put on the materials, and eventually something ruptured, and there was an explosion that burst out the side. And that seems very recent, like within the last, day or something. So you suspect that that explosion happened in or around the same time as you all heard the alarm just earlier today. I'm going to say, by the way, that it's like mid-afternoon now. You all left at daybreak, and it's taken that amount of time to get here.
What are our Ovian counterparts doing?
That's a good question. I think Lilija feels the need to establish some control in the situation, and she sees Sidri, approaching and investigating this thing, and she steps forward and says again in loud Lilija voice, not quiet Lilija voice, hello, compatriots from Zeph. It has been a long time since we've spoken. What brings you here today? Which is kind of a stupid question.
Did Blas make it up the cliff with his leg, or is it just Sidri and me?
Oh. Yeah, I think Sidri was able to cobble together something quite quickly, actually, that could be attached to a rope. You both climbed and then pulled him up. So you're all there. It's all good.
I can make it quick. I just don't like to.
Don't rush genius, right? All right. If he doesn't immediately step forward to speak, then I do.
Okay.
Greetings, Ovians. We heard the alarm like you. Whatever differences we might have, we share the valley. Sounds like a danger on both sides. Agreed?
Why does everyone keep referring to it as an alarm? It was a song.
You did not cause the alarm?
Look, we were gathering livestock.
Gathering livestock. I'm sure you were.
That's rude.
Oh, I can make you an alarm if you need one. It'll just take like a week. Hold on. I'm trying to figure out what went on here. Just give me a second.
Is he... Look, I am as curious as you are about what has happened here. I know that our ancestors, Zeph and Ovan, had their differences, and for that reason, we have kept our distance. But if we can be of any service in understanding this mystery, then we will be happy to lend our help if we have your word that you are not attempting to do anything that would undermine the great sovereignty of oven.
From behind her, Elharia is just like you hear a creak as he just loosens the tension on his bow and lowers it.
Fair.
Good.
Lilija and Blas sort of, this kind of tense moment, and obviously there's all this pretense surrounding Lilija at the moment, and Blas just like bursts through that and like walks forward, causing Lilija to like start for a moment and like reach for her flail that she carries, but he just barges forward and like sticks out a big hand and just says, it's great to talk to you after all this time. He like gathers herself and kind of very primly like gives one good firm handshake and then steps back, but it's obvious she's like definitely keeping an eye on you two over there, but she doesn't say anything more. She just stands back for a bit. What are your next steps as players?
All right, since I am familiar with Numenera and such, do I see an obvious repair point? Something that Sidri could probably put together if we could lift this thing back in place?
Sure. Go do similar to what Audrey did. Take Fission down there and use... go ahead and kind of investigate. This is going to be an intellect roll for you. So what is your... next to your intellect stat, you have a skill that's called Edge. Does that field have anything in it for your character?
Yes, I've got an edge of 1.
Okay, excellent. So you've seen people using effort to reduce, they're putting extra effort in to make it even easier to do something. And that is cheaper for you than your other skills because you're practiced in that. So if you do want to, with this or any intellect-based check, if you want to spend effort, you can take 2 points from your pool to make it easier for you to do something. And in this case, I'm going to say that this is a level... I'll say the same thing. It's a level 3 task for you to understand kind of anything at all about the sort of Numenera aspect of this situation. But if you do much better than that, I will give you more information. So by default, this will require a 9, a level 3, but you are skilled already in the Numenera. So without having to do anything else, it's already eased a step. So you just need a 6. If you want to spend effort by spending 2 points from your intellect, you can lower it down to a 3.
Given my dice rolling abilities, I'll spend the 2 points.
Okay, fair enough. So you just need a 3 to get some information, and the higher above that you do.
And I rolled a 2.
You rolled a 2. All right. So, you're just on the tip. There's something, you look at this, and it rings a bell. There is something about this particular combination of metals and materials, and you read once in your research that it was that kitchen forgetting feeling again comes back, and you just blank. You can't remember what you were about to observe. It's very disconcerting. Sorry about that.
Well, since I didn't say anything out loud, I just keep staring.
Fair enough. Lilija at this point walks over and she bends down and kind of starts looking at the ruptured area and the scarring and kind of pulls a book out and is like checking something in her book. Any other actions?
I'm just gonna kind of look around and see if there's any like bits of this machine just loose.
Sure. While this is happening, I'm curious, Algieri, you've got your bow in the background. What are you doing while all of this is going on?
Well, I'm just making sure none of these other people are, gonna actually do anything. We don't get along.
Fair enough.
All I know how to do is protect. So I'm gonna do that.
You observe something strange, you think. There is a huge chunk of this installation, this metal, that is like, it's not where it was a moment ago. Like, you are pretty sure it looks just like wreckage, like rubble from this thing, but it was definitely on the left side of that rock a second ago when you glanced at it, and now it is on the right side of the rock. And you are the only one who notices it. So what was it that you were looking for, Audrey? You were just kind of looking to try to understand?
So specifically, I'm just looking for any bits of stuff that I could take home and craft into something different.
Sure. So that is for you as a right, a foraging. Do you have any skill in foraging?
I do not.
Did I get the, what are your skills? I may have gotten the name of that skill wrong. I'm not super versed in Numenera 2 rules.
Salvaging.
Numenera, engineering,
Salvaging.
secrets, or aiding a community.
Okay. Jess is correct. Salvaging is what I was looking for. If you want to like literally like try to pull bits out of this that are useful for something in the future, that would be a salvaging check. Or if you are looking for something more immediately useful, you can, for instance, look to see if there are any ciphers, bits of this that you can like throw in your pack and use right away. Are you looking more for materials or sort of like weird gadgets that you can maybe use in some way?
I would probably be looking specifically for materials.
Okay. Cool. You spend a little time doing that. Alieri, you are positive now this piece of rubble is moving, and it is slowly creeping toward Lilija. It's not moving like, you never actually see it move, you just see it sort of like glimmer, and then it is closer. It's kind of moving in this erratic way, but it's moving in a straight line.
Does it move when I look away?
Yeah, it seems to.
Is it quantum locked? Oh no. Oh no, the angels. I'm gonna
blink.
Yeah, don't blink. I'm gonna move myself so that I'm standing between the rock and I'm sorry, I'm terrible with names.
Lilija?
Huh? Lilija, thank you. Interpose myself between the rock and Lilija.
Okay. You get a really good, it is, you were looking at it, it is a rock. Have you ever looked up at the night sky and you see a star, and then you look at the star and it's just dimmer, and then you look a little away and you can see it kind of better out of the slight periphery? There's this kind of thing going on where, like, when you look at it, it definitely looks like a rock. When you look just a little bit askew of it, it still looks like a rock, but it's like kind of shimmery or something. And it is not moving any longer, but you can actually fix your gaze just around it somewhere, and out of the corner of your eye see, like, maybe there was a spiky part of the rock. Maybe it was metallic. Nope, looks like a rock. Back at it.
So as I take my foot and kind of tap at it, I'm gonna say, hey Yamu, and I'll just sort of kick at it.
Excellent. I love when my players
kicking at the rock, like kicking.
Yeah,
the
I'm just like
me?
tapping it with my foot, kind of like I am about to sort of dip my toe into cold water, but it's like quantum rock.
Oh. Are you okay?
Yeah, you know the thing that you do where you that thing?
Yeah, that's me.
I think this thing can do it too, but it's not as good as you are at it.
So the moment that you dip your toe into this, like, it swishes, and then it, like, all of a sudden has no longer any semblance of rockness about it. I'm gonna just real quick on the fly give you a super ugly one of these.
Oh no. Oh,
Paste
no.
it in.
Oh no.
So this thing, This
You
thing,
shouldn't have touched it.
Oh.
this thing is actually two things, and the rock, right when you kick it, it splits into two of those. They are like about big, and they're sluggy and they're spiky, and they change their form really quick. And I am going to ask you all to roll initiative. So you're just going to roll on your d20, and you have a stat on your sheet there that is pull one of these out just a sec.
Ooh.
Hold on, I'm sorry. Boop, boop, boop.
Oh, yep.
We're fixing the stream layout. No worries. It's okay. Meanwhile, Columbus is on the chin of Couture. It's great.
We're a lot of different people right now.
I enjoy this mosaic. It's okay.
It's good.
I can't see the stream layout right now. What is it doing?
We're playing everyone right now. You know, it's a team game.
Your
Hey,
iPad.
Jason, will you turn your iPad back on?
I never made it not go off. I don't know what happened. Let's see.
It looks like
Wow.
your
That is
the speaker view changed maybe on Zoom,
Okay, let me
or it's not applied. That's okay though.
try broadcasting again from my
Yeah.
iPad.
Yeah, once you had shared the gloopy slug with the spiky silvers, it was like, hey, bye.
Okay, let's see.
Oh, there we go.
Do.
There. Stream's all fixed up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have some gloop? Do you have some gloop again still?
We do.
Okay, excellent.
So we're rolling initiative, which is speed. Unless you're trained in initiative, then it's even speedier.
Yeah, that is true. You may have initiative listed as a thing you are trained in, but you can, as with any other skill, yes, you can spend speed points from your pool. 3 of them if you don't have any edge in speed, or 2 of them if you do have 1 edge in speed, to try to get the jump on this thing and move even faster than it. It is... it looks like a very fast creature, I will just say that. So go ahead and roll and tell me, each of you, what you rolled, and then if you modified it in some way.
I believe this is the first action I have amidst Alhiri, and because Alhiri initiated this nonsense, I feel obligated to help them. So I think this is the asset that I get from the last motion.
Yeah.
I got a
That's true.
14, so like bumped
Okay.
up to 17, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. You're good. Who else? You will get to go before this does anything.
Smash it with a hammer!
I've got
But let
14,
me-
12.
You've got what?
12.
12. Okay.
I rolled a 17.
Okay.
I do have the whatever the opposite of edge in speed is.
Oh, an inability.
Yeah.
Okay. And in speed in your stat, or in skill
Yeah.
for initiative?
In the stat.
So like it takes 4 instead of 3.
Yeah.
Oh, fascinating. Okay. Cool.
I forget what that's called. It's the anti-edge.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
A soft, rounded edge.
Kate, what do you have?
I rolled a 15.
And I rolled 14.
Oh, I don't hear Kate.
Oh, my.
I can hear Couture, Kate.
Okay, so I hear you again now. I don't know what happened. What did you roll?
I rolled a 15.
Okay. So actually, it is just Yamu who gets to go first. What do you wish to do? There are 2 of these, by the way. The kicking split it. So
Okay, so yes, rock became shimmering 2 slug. Got it.
yes. Yep.
I look at it. I take out in one hand a snack and pop it to Glumbus, and in my other hand I pop out my hammer, which more or less is not like a great hammer, just a mini hammer. Like imagine Ian Gamesmith's logo, but my hammer. That's what it is.
Excellent.
And I'm going to try and smash whichever one is closer to. Okay, is one designated towards Lilija?
So it was actually coming up behind Lilija straight from the back. So now there's kind of one like you've got it was headed toward Lilija, but then Algieri interspersed themselves, injected themselves in the middle. It split this way, and so you've got like two slugs here, and then Algieri here, and Lilija back behind there.
Okay, so surrounding Algieri, I will get to the one that's closest, the one that is between me and Algieri. I'd be like, that one, you end now, and I'll like, try and attack it with my hammer, which is a medium weapon.
Okay, that's excellent. So this is level 4 to be able to hit it.
Okay. Yeah, no, I can do that. That's fine. I'm confident.
Okay. I would like to see you do it then.
Yeah. 12. Just what I needed.
Wow. That is precisely what you needed. Yeah, so you do manage to smash the one of these, let's say the one on the right, with your hammer. And so is that a medium weapon?
Yeah, it'll do 4 points damage.
4 points of damage. Excellent. So it kind of like, it does like a Terminator 2 kind of thing, right? I mean, you hit it and it kind of like, there's this thing and it sort of reforms itself. But it does seem it seems as though like there's not as much volume to it. It looks significantly smaller than it was before, but still toothy and spiny as it kind of
looping away. Oh, jeez. Oh,
the other one then, and it's unable to take a move this round, so that was helpful in that way. But the other one moves quickly and strikes directly at Algieri. It is attacking. It's attacking as a level 2 attack for you to dodge. Or in some other way block. And what it's doing is it's lashing out and it kind of rears itself up and like it looks at you this way, and then all those spikes that are on his back suddenly are just like coming from its teeth, and it just kind of like moves all of its spikes towards you and sort of does this thing.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna take my bow and just like this and try to just like jam it into its mouth.
Rad. I love it.
Is the mouth on the side of the creature or in the face of the creature?
Oh, so that's the thing. Yeah, that you can see there's kind of a mouth all running down the side and also kind of in the face. It has a mouth whenever and wherever it wants to, but all those little things are definitely creepy mouth teeth.
I don't like that, Jason. I don't like that.
Oh, okay.
That's bad.
So
these are the words were not words I wanted to hear this morning.
I feel like if Dread Singles was around, he would appreciate it. But
it's true.
So in the moment, though, it's definitely the coming from the front. Yep. And so I'm going to say that this is, if you want to take, I'll have you do this as separately. That it's attacking you. If you want to have your action be, now I'm going to both attack and also like try to turn its attack back kind of on itself.
No, not quite. I just want to do the thing where I sort of block by holding a thing in my mouth. Cinematic and a way for me to use my might defense.
Yeah, that's totally fair. So yeah, it's versus a 2.
Okay. 19.
Oh my. So cinematic, yes. And also because of the 19, you get an extra effect. What would you like to happen?
Being
heard by this thing.
Let's see here. Let's I don't know. I'd like to throw a an asset at somebody to attack it for the distraction.
Okay.
Got its nibbly maw on my bow.
Sounds good. So yeah, it is like fastidiously trying to. What's the last thing that you shot with your bow?
Probably one of my arrows, but it's been like the last creature?
Yeah, like the last time you were in combat versus a living thing with your bow. What?
Oh yeah, it was oh gosh, where are those people from again? The other
Zeph?
Yeah, it might have been some livestock.
So
it was an accident.
In your quiver, there is a little bit of like tissue left still from like, the process of, of all of that. Like just somehow you didn't clean everything very well after that. And it ended up on there, and like this thing finds a little bit of like livestock flesh and just like adjusts itself in a way to just like very fastidiously start devouring that. And as it does, you see that it grows an extra spike. But while it's doing that, someone else gets an asset to attack it.
Ugh. Gross.
Or whatever. Anyone can go. I'm not following every order precisely. It's just going to be always Jess, and then this thing, and then everybody else.
Well, I'll position myself on the other side and make a whip attack.
Okay, excellent. Against the larger one or the smaller one?
I'm not that good, so I'll go against the smaller one. It's less likely to do as much damage to me.
That is true, although the larger one is distracted at the moment. So as far as striking, it's actually easier.
That's one I'll go. I'll take that one.
Okay. It is same thing. This is a level 2 to strike it, which means with no aid, you need 6 on the die to hit it.
All right. 6 or better. And I rolled a mighty 3.
Nice.
All right.
Oh, you weren't kidding.
Oh, no. I am awful. There's a reason that I am game master and not the player most times.
Well, you do actually hit because it had an asset. It was distracted, which means that instead of needing a 6, you actually only needed a 3 that time. So,
okay.
So it was not in your bones that was not a great strike, but it still manages to hit, and it basically, it connects. It's going to do. It takes a chunk of this thing, not maybe as much damage as you saw happen to the other one. The two of them in response, all of a sudden, just reform back into one creature, and that happens basically instantaneously. The mouth running down the side sort of like opens all the way down the edge, and what you see inside is like a weird pulsating like organ that is not metal. It looks like a long heart of some kind, and it's like doing something. It's about to do something.
Oh, heck no.
That is perfectly vague and disgusting.
Did anyone not? Let's see. I think
I would love to try to shoot that organ with my darts.
Okay, I think you should try to do that. This is going to be more difficult because you can see that these rows of little metal teeth are doing this thing, and they look like they're all up in there to try to, protect this vulnerable thing inside. So this is actually going to be quite hard. This is going to be a level 5 task for you to like get a dart in there and strike it.
Okay, so remind me, how can I make this easier for myself? Expending effort.
Yeah, so first of all, your attack with the darts is going to be a speed-based attack. You can always spend 1 level of effort. Do you have edge in speed?
I do not.
Okay, so it's going to cost you 3 points from your speed pool. to be able to do that. That's the first thing. There's other things as well. You know, you could, if you can coordinate something and get some help from one of the other players, or if you are particularly skilled in something else that may help you make a dart attack, or you can convince me in some way that this should be easier for you for some reason, those can all help. But
I don't know. I don't really have anything in particular that would help me to shoot a dart into an organ surrounded by teeth.
you haven't run into this situation regularly? What?
Since we're all kind of going at the same time, I can use my ciphers on other people, right? It doesn't
Sure.
like count against theirs.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So Sidri is just kind of like, oh no, like what's going on? Like flailing around in a bag. Not a knife, not a knife, not a knife. What's this? And pulls out this big syringe, and Couture just like trying to like line up this shot, and just goes, "Here, this will help."
Oh God!
And so this is a stim that will ease the next action you take by 3 steps.
What? Holy! That's wild!
I'm hopped.
Oh.
I'm like so full of energy now. I'm like,
So this was a level 5, right? And then you spent 1 level of effort, and then we've got 1, 2, 3 down. This is now just equivalent to a level 1 task. So get a 3 or above, and you'll be set.
I got a 10. And I'm drugged. This is going so well.
Does it say? I'm curious. How long is that? That was just for 1 action, Sidri, or how long does it last?
Action.
1 action. All right.
So it's like an
So-
EpiPen.
Yeah, totally. So your dart, like, you know, it's like a thing this long, right? That you're hurling, and you can see like it's dead on. Like you're absolutely positive this was accurate, but you're not sure what's going to happen with all the teeth, right? You kind of cringe for a minute because it seems as though they snap shut, but it clips the dart in half, and like part of the dart goes spinning off as it like literally just gets cut in half. But the core, the center of the dart, just plunges straight into whatever the thing was. It does not get a chance to do whatever the thing was it was about to do. And at first it seems like nothing happens, and then the whole thing just turns into this like thin, like not even viscous, just this puddle of like metally water, and just sinks into the ground, and there's nothing left of it.
Delightful.
Woo!
Step back. So, here's the thing. Lilija has been like focused while all this was happening, and she kind of knew there was danger, but trusted her lieutenants to handle it and figured things would be okay. And so she's been sitting there like doing some serious study, looking through books, and she stands up, and her face is kind of pale with discovery that maybe changes how you've always thought about the world. And she points to Blas and ushers him over and says, "Take a look at this." And you all get a chance to see it after a moment, but it's a crest that's like emblazoned, like etched into this device that has the crest of Zeph and the crest of Ovan like woven together into this like beautiful, intricate thing. And she says, "I've always heard that the brothers were allies once, but I never believed it. Has always seemed to me as though there's been nothing but enmity between the 2 clans, and it's always seemed to me as though the styles of everything that is written about who they were and what they made and what their legacy was seemed fundamentally incompatible, but this points to a time when the brothers were working together to make this device. What do you think it could be about?" And there's one other note. She says, "There's something. It seems to me, this reminds me a little bit of the tower we were trying to erect this morning. It seems to me like this is a protective tower that's meant to keep the valley safe from something. And it's clearly not working anymore."
Do we
You wanna-
jumpstart it?
Build one? It would only take like 2 or 3 decades.
You know, looking at it in this kind of moment of calm, Sidri, you kind of poke at it and like you're thinking about rebuilding it and whatever, and it just doesn't seem feasible. But when you poke around in sort of the ruptured area, you're able to dig around in there and pull out a part that like obviously has broken, but it's like everything else seems pretty structurally sound. There's this one piece that's like, you know, in the explosion, part of it like sort of melted and is no longer formed properly. And you feel like you don't know what it is or what it does, but if you could make another one of these or find another one or something, you could, you know, put it all back in here and get the thing working again. It's kind of a weird, it's shaped like a tuning fork made out of like looks kind of like a strange blue glass, but it's not glass, it's metallic, but that same blue that's been kind of pulsing through the rest of the structure.
Okay, so we could speed this up a little bit. We could fix just this thing. We would need this stuff. We'd need some of this stuff, and you know, to figure out what this does, and that would be helpful.
Right. So we need stuff.
Yeah, like see this. What? Yeah, this. I don't know what this is. I've never seen it before. But if we could get more of it.
Blaz, you know, definitely respects everything that you say, but he just looks helpless and sad. He's I don't even know what this technology is. I don't know how it would even be possible to build another one of these. He looks like he's kind of slipping into despair, and then gets kind of a really blank look on his face for a minute, like he isn't even sure what he's doing here, and then kind of snaps back for a minute. Lilija perks up at something that you say and says, well, wait, I'm putting all this together. If this was something the brothers built that was intended to keep the valley safe for in perpetuity, they must have had a plan for how to keep this thing maintained, how to keep it updated and still working. You know, I've always heard rumors that they had a workshop in a place called I'm forgetting. Brymek? And at this, Blaz snaps back and says, Brymek Morass? She says, yeah. He says, oh, my exploring parties have found a swamp that they found an old sign once that labeled it Brymek Morass, but they definitely never went in there. But if you think there's a workshop, then maybe that's where it is. So they talk amongst themselves for a little bit. And
do they look like spacier than normal? That was a weird exchange. Lily is usually confident.
Yeah, Blaz keeps flickering in and out of existence, like, you know, forgetting where he is, and Lilija seems like she is doubting herself deeply in a way that you have not seen before. Yeah, it's unusual. All true.
Are we experiencing any of the same, like, forget what we're doing effects as before?
You know, you did just see Vision a moment ago, out of character, totally forget something that he was right about to like announce something, and then he kind of didn't seem to continue with that. Yeah, you know, everything feels a little hazy now that you mention it. I mean, you know, yeah.
I look over at Couture because I'm like, okay, you're better at speaking with people. I'm better at convincing them / lying to them. And like, can you do things? Sidri looks like they want to help. Come on, go help. gather us. Our leaders are like talking and mumbling.
Of course, yes. So everyone, perhaps we should organize if we want to find this lab or what have you. It seems like repairing this might be interesting to all of us. At least to, learn more about it and maybe confirm whether these strange effects that we seem to be having today are related to the structure breaking. So should we pool our information now about this lab and the swamp?
So Lilicia mentioned that the last time that anyone heard the sound was 2 generations ago.
Yes.
What happened?
Right.
She says I'm not sure. It was never really recorded, but it sounds as though I've read references to some kind of a virus or some kind of a creeping doom that infected people's minds or something. But they're always just mentions in passing, followed by kind of vague passages blathering in circles about nothing. I'm really hungry. Did I bring any food?
I think I have some here. Hold on. Starts rummaging in bag.
Thank you. Blas says I don't know anything about information, what I can provide, but I do have some equipment here. I have some tools that might be useful. If I think I'm gonna stay here and examine this structure a little bit more. And but why don't you take these? And he pulls out a little case from his bag, and it's got kind of a Triforce looking thing in the middle where there is like a circle, and then there's like 3 different triangles arranged pointing outward, like Triforce, but the center thing is a circle, not a triangle. And it's like a case that's meant to hold obviously 4 parts of something, and one of those things is missing. But he pulls one out, one of the triangles, and he hands it to you, Ktor, and says, thanks for your leadership in this. Why don't you take one of these? And it's a communicator. It is going to allow you to talk to me. If you talk into this, I will hear what you are saying. And then he points to the hole in the center and says, I was quite sure I used to have another part of this that was like a teleporter that would help you get from one place to another. But I don't know what has happened to that. I just have these. Well, here, you take one and I'll take one. So there's these 4 parts, right? He's pointing to the circle and mumbling about a teleporter. There's one triangle that he gives to you, one other triangle he takes for himself and like puts in his pocket. And then there's like another triangle that is obviously missing from this case. But you go and explore. Brymek Morass should be to the west. And you let me know if you find anything. And he kind of pats the teleporter, or the transmission amulet, he calls it.
Well, then do we have a vague map coordinates for any of this? Oh, that's cool.
So Lilija's back in her books and says, well, now that you've reminded me of the name of it, Blas, I do have a map pointing the way to Brymek Morass. I just never knew why it was important or what was there. And so she just pulls out a map, rips it out, and gives it to you.
All right.
Excellent. I'm going to take the map because I am trained in geography, so I should be pretty useful at reading a map.
Hey, so like maybe you just wait outside or something and not in here.
Outside of where?
Outside of this place, you totally forgot the name of a place you have a map to, like 5 minutes ago. So
Oh,
I feel like this is a bad place.
this seems like a very comfortable place, though. I mean, I'm happy to sit and study this artifact for a while. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
You just want to be wary of the, tooth slugs.
Yeah, there's that.
Slugs. You mean the rocks with the... Oh, yeah. I'll watch out. Watch out for the tooth slugs.
They'll be fine, guys. They've got this. Totally fine.
All right. So how far away is the morass?
According to the map, it seems as though it's not very far. You could get there like within an hour. But it's through a swamp. It is a morass, after all. But what she has on the map is like, it's just a dot on the map that says something. It looks like Argent Briar is like the word that's scrawled there. And then there's lots of like swampy like hash marks. Beware, between here and there. But it doesn't look very far.
All right, well, we should zip zap zoop through this swamp, right? It's easy.
Real quick, before we go, hey Couture, could you do me a favor? And I'm gonna do some goggle stuff, and I want you to just recap everything. Just everything we know about this place and where we're going and what we're doing there. Can just like a minute and a half tops. As much as you can remember. Just to let me just tune these up a little bit. Okay, and go.
All right, so this morning we in Ovon heard different sounds but some sort of alarm. Didn't know exactly where it was coming from, but Lalesia thought that perhaps it could have come from the Harrow. Came down, hiked into the cauldron, found these concentric rings.
Blaz pops up and says, the Harrow? What do you mean by the Harrow? What is the Harrow?
This is the Harrow, right?
This is the section of the valley, right?
Oh, the Harrow. Okay.
Right. Are we worried? We're worried. So then we've come to this central space. There's some sort of structure here that has fallen into disrepair. We had an encounter with these spiny slug rock things. And then we've sort of investigated the structure, and we think that this kind of metallic sort of materialed piece that appears to have melted might be the key to fixing the structure. Maybe stopping whatever the signal is, or is somehow, this has happened before. We're not sure what happened then, but it seemed to have ill effects, and we are hoping that fixing the structure will stop the ill effects from happening.
And where's the structure? You show me the map?
I've got my... Here's... Ta-da! Here's my geography. I've got us. Here's the concentric rings. And then this... Over here is the swamp. Ta-da!
Yay!
Oh, it's so good. Hey, Kate, can you? I'm gonna take a little screen snapshot of that. If you can hold it up again, and I'm just gonna drop it into the presentation. That's so good. Oh my god! All right, hang on.
You are much better at note taking than I ever was.
Woot woot.
My character is
actually-
supposed to be good at mapping. Have you got it?
So, well,
You want me to just send you a photo?
well, I can do it right here. It's okay, but just right when I have my Zoom set, so when people talk, it pulls their face forward. So
Oh.
you say something, Kate. No one else say something. Hold the thing up, and then we'll be good.
All right. Yes. So my character is proficient in geography, and once she's been somewhere, they know
Back
where.
up just a little bit. Okay, great.
they know where it was. So I took a little map. This is my mind map, but perhaps Kator has actually drawn it as well.
I think that is exactly what it is. I think it's perfect. All right, there we go.
Oh, good.
So Sidri is gonna be like, awesome. I think that's all the relevant information. And he pulls off the goggles and he like tosses them just like on the ground behind him. And he's like, what? And we got it in here now. So that was my cipher, the memory lenses, which allows me to mentally record everything I see for a minute and a half and store the recording permanently in my long-term memory.
That's
wow.
amazing. And by the way, every campaign ever, Numenera or not, needs one character with that, because that's
so
great.
Helpful.
Oh my gosh, as a meta device too, really good. All right, so you make your way. You know, at first it's just kind of more of the same, but the ground starts getting slushy and swampy. You start seeing weird like things glowing and like flitting out of the ground. There's like weird burblings just kind of under the surface of the ground that feel like any moment they're gonna like pop up, but maybe they don't quite. But nothing overtly dangerous happens. As you continue to go for a while, all of a sudden, though, you feel, and we're going to see if this technology works.
We've got to mute one of you, I think.
Yep.
Douglas, we arrived at the workshop yesterday. I wasn't able to send this until now. We were attacked before we could get the Griefsteel thought Calc was Zeph, I think. Everyone's gone and I can't remember why I'm here. I'm sorry, Blas. I'm so sorry. I know we were supposed to do something important. What was it? Holy shit.
That's
So
I'm sorry.
I've just pasted the text of that into all of our various chats, including the public one.
Now, we heard this from where?
This was you don't know where it comes from. You heard it on the transmission amulet, the thing that you expected Blas to maybe be able to communicate with you with.
Let's talk into it. Who's got the communicator?
That's Kator, isn't it?
That's you.
I have it.
You
Yeah.
do.
Oh, excellent. Hello, who is this? Is anyone getting this? This is Kator. We're a group from both Zeph and Ovan coming to the workshop. Do you read?
So you realize after a couple minutes of playing with it that it's not a walkie-talkie. It's like these things can send a transmission to each other when they're within range, but if they're out of range, it sort of stores the thing up, and then next time the two come within range of each other, it like sends the cached message. So this is not a live person right now as much as something that was said at some point in the past that you are now close enough to hear.
Oh god. Okay, so we're getting close to something.
So really quick,
Did we recognize the voice off the transmission device?
oh, that is a good question. Roll me, any of you who want to, roll me an intellect check.
Because the person's
see
from Zeph.
whether it sounds familiar.
Maybe.
I'll spend 2 intellect points and use my edge or my effort.
Would my discovering secrets in your community, would that apply here?
Yeah, I think it would.
I rolled a 7.
Okay. What did you end up with, Gregory?
10.
10?
Yep.
Fission, God, this voice sounds so... You are positive this is someone that you have heard speak before in your life. You just can't quite... It's like, maybe it was someone you knew once. Maybe it was someone on the radio. So you move. You can't quite place it. You're not sure. But it is someone that you've run into before, you think. So that transmission comes through. Let me ask real quick, who is someone here who would have had the most experience among your whole group with automatons before? With, oh, hey. So this mention of a grief steal, this definitely seems like it's called by a different name in your studies, but there's an automaton that you're aware of that it's kind of marked by this feeling of having bonded very closely to its creator or someone it's worked very closely with. And then this is a thing that can happen to automatons if they lose the person that they were close to, where it sort of infects their circuitry and they start they kind of short circuit and become obsessed with like the memory of the person that they have lost. And you think that maybe this grief steal is one of those things. It's like a condition that can happen in the AIs of really sentient automatons. So you keep going through the swamp, and sure enough, up ahead you find a little building, low rise. It's kind of a flat area, and there is a little, it's like 3 feet tall. There's like a pedestal that's like large, like 100 feet diameter, but 3 feet tall, just a pedestal on the ground. And you don't see anything else, but when you look at it, just faintly shimmering, you can see the same symbol that Lilija was talking about, with the Zeph and the Ovan crest woven together, sort of etched into the surface of this pedestal.
All right. Sidri? If there is a lab around here, it's got to have an entrance. Is this the doorbell? The dial home device, something.
Probably something. Let me go. Yeah, let's see what this is supposed to do, I guess. So yeah, I guess can I try to figure out like what the purpose of this thing is?
It seems as though there's nothing else around. There's just swamp in every direction. So it seems as though if this doesn't look like a workshop, but maybe it's an entry to a workshop or somehow if this seems like this is the place on the map, and it seems like this would be how you would get to whatever you're trying to do.
Yeah, I guess just like trying to look for like some sort of mechanism or something like that.
Oh, sure. You get to the very middle, and it wasn't obvious at first because of the way the crests are designed, but like they're sort of concentric circle-y in a way, and right at the very, very center, there is like a little tiny button. It's just right in the middle of everything.
It is a doorbell.
Don't do it. Are you gonna do it? Don't press the button. Yeah.
Hey!
So I need to know is, did anyone else follow you up onto the pedestal, or is it just you on the pedestal?
Well, I was pushing, so I'm going to stand up there with her. Or
Okay.
him.
Okay.
I've definitely approached it as well.
Okay. Is there anyone who's not on the pedestal?
If we're going inside the concentric circles, right?
Yeah.
Even if we weren't, I think Yamu got sidetracked and was having way too much fun, like phase blasting themselves through the concentric circles.
Okay.
I am not on the platform.
All right. So,
I probably
hear-
hung back, with Alhiri.
Yeah, fair enough. So the whole platform just starts rising kind of slowly up into the air. You're now being lifted into something. Those of you who are on the platform, as you get closer to the top, you can start hearing voices, kind of a muttering and like a circular conversation and like kind of a weird disconnected voice that is coming from above you. You don't see anything up there, but you're quite sure you hear the voice up above. Those of you who are on the ground, you see the whole party that's on top of the platform rise, and then they just start disappearing. And then the platform rises to a stop, and now you can't quite see from down below, but if you back up a lot, you can't see. You can still. You feel like you should be able to see someone standing on the top still, and you can't. Those of you who are on the platform, this is just an elevator that took you into. You don't see anything strange going on, except that like once you reach a certain spot, you're like, you can start seeing a room around you. And there's a whole room that's like hidden from the surrounding whatever, but it's a functioning, clearly, workshop that you're looking for. There are two things in this workshop right now. One of the things in this workshop is actually you just see one thing. I'm sorry. What you see in this workshop at the moment is there's scattered benches and like screens and like all the doings and makings necessary for a pretty sophisticated workshop. It's ancient. It looks like it's been here a long time, but there's also, interestingly, some modernish devices kind of buzzing and doing things. You do see a thing that looks like this, and that's the big thing that as you approach, it's facing away from you, but and kind of rocking back and forth, but it doesn't seem like it's maybe heard you yet. I mean, it's obviously heard the elevator, but like it doesn't seem to be aware of a presence behind it. But you're looking at the back of that thing as it's looking away from you, and as it rocks back and forth, you actually see behind it a woman's back who's sitting in a chair and kind of looking toward a screen with some kind of panel in front of her. And she's the one muttering to herself. You can now recognize that like that's her voice.
Hello?
No response.
I'm like looking at the other two like, should we go tap her on the shoulder?
Okay. From what Sidri said earlier about the grief steal and the message previously, I'm concerned that thing that's watching her is going to turn on us like it did on Kaiki, whoever that person was. So if we do approach, is there any way we can go long ways around and sidle up to them rather than crossing direct paths over the grief steal?
Yeah, we should perhaps. I mean, obviously she's not responding to sound. Can we get something into her line of vision, perhaps? Does anyone want to like lob something? Toss it onto her desk or whatever.
Like a wrench and a screwdriver in
No!
like looking at this thing like,
can I have it? Okay, so what if there's like something around that's not gonna like clock her in the head? I would like to try to, yeah, I don't want to like throw a chunk of metal at her head, but if there's like something smallish but light enough that it's not going to injure her should I miss, that I can like try to throw like onto her desk.
Sure. Yeah, the whole workshop is filled with little bits. You can take a screw and skitter it. Yeah, it startles her. It gets her attention, and she turns around in her chair. And Sidri, you recognize immediately that this is someone from your village, and her name is Yidget, and you know that immediately, and it's like, oh, Yidget. And then the strange thing though is that you immediately feel like, wait, it's very weird that I had forgotten about Yidget until this moment. But there she is. And then at the sound of that, the robot stands up and starts like looking around, and it turns and it looks at you, and it's holding something very close to it, like close to sort of cradling it with one of its arms, and it like sort of arches its back and goes into like a defensive posture.
Whoa, it's okay, buddy.
You speak and it looks at you, and it like gets down low, and it looks like this, and it moves a little bit closer. It looks still very defensive, but also a little curious.
I'm going to be as like non-threatening as possible. I'm just like, hey, we're just here to investigate.
Okay. So
like,
difficult interaction check. Level 6 task to try to talk it down from its tension.
He's not in my community, is he?
Okay.
Well, I could try, because I have a community activist. I can persuade and intimidate when talking to somebody about the community. So could I try to like take that tact with him, like be like,
for reasons I can't share with you yet, but may make sense shortly, that absolutely works. Like whatever that skill is will work on this situation.
Yeah, I'm just gonna calmly explain to him that like we're from the village, like we're just here to investigate. Don't be worried.
Okay. What's the mechanical effect of this skill that you have?
Just says enabler.
Okay, so it's always true. You don't have to do anything special for it.
Okay.
It's not like a thing you have to spend points on or whatever. And what is it? Go ahead and read the description to me.
It's community activist. You're trained in persuasion and intimidation tasks when speaking to others in the community you foster about topics that relate to the community.
Okay, great. So the trained is just an automatic, without you having to do anything in this case.
Okay.
It's easier.
Yeah, persuasion is what I'm trained in.
Okay. Something just occurred to both Fission and me. The Grief Steel thought Kaiki was Zeph. Zeph was one of the two brothers. As Kator is attempting to persuade, I don't know if it helps or not, but I want to let her know, hey, I think this automaton was related to Zeph, the brother, one of the brothers. If that can give an asset or help in some way, I want her to know that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm gonna ask. This is kind of like directed at both the person Yidget in the who's sitting at the desk, as well as the little machine here. We got a message saying something about the Grief Steel thought Kalki was Zeph. Are you looking for one of those things? Does that help?
At the name of Zeph, when you mentioned that word, the robot like has a whole flutter of emotions. I mean, it sort of like a big puppy kind of like pops up, and then it like looks around, and then it like looks very sad, and then it like growls. I mean, just all like very suddenly, but it's clear that it didn't even hear anything else you're saying, but that word means something to it.
You said it was holding something. Would that something happen to be the body of Kaiki, or if that was her name?
It's not a body. It's you can't see what it is, but it's small enough that it's football sized or something. I mean, it's enough that it can kind of be clenched.
Like the size of a head?
Yeah, sure. Or a little that, or a little smaller.
This is just scarifying.
Is Yidget responding in any way to what we're saying?
She seems totally dazed.
Ooh.
All right.
Okay.
Does the elevator thing that like we came up in, is there like an obvious way to like make it go back down?
Well, the same button that made it come up is still there, and it's currently it's lit up. That's a guess. Those of you who are outside, there's not an obvious way to get in now that it's up.
Because I guess I'm gonna try to like send it back down without like going back down, just because it's kind of like hey guys.
Right.
So Cedric's gonna press the button and step off the platform before it descends?
Yeah, basically.
So it's hard because there's no, you can't step off the platform onto anything. This is the floor of the round room that you're in now. So it's kind of like a big piston that came up into a space, a room that was everything except the floor. The weird magic of it is just that some tables and stuff seemed to materialize when the floor clicked into place. But there were clearly no tables when you were on your way up.
What were they?
What about
How are they staying in here?
Exactly.
Maybe they were not here precisely, but who knows the ways of the Numenera.
Numenera.
It is a fascinating puzzle.
Okay. I guess I kind of want to press the button and see what happens then.
Okay.
Are they standing on the platform now too?
So you push the button, and from your perspective, it's like the whole floor is going down, including, the grief steel and including Idjit, right? And all the tables and everything else. But there's a threshold, right? Which is the bottom of the rest of the room. And as you go down, you see them coming down with you, but then they disappear from the foot up, right? And then you're still there, but it's some form of them seemed to stay. They are not visible to you, nor could you feel them if you reach around you. There's something dimensional going on here, is your best engineer instinct.
So they're in a different phase.
Something like that. But when this thing is up, the two phases are unified in a way that allows you to be in the same place that they are.
Yeah, let's get our friends to come see this.
So the platform goes down, and there's no problem if everyone wants to get back on and go right back up, and you'll still see the same situation as before.
Yeah, we just want to let them know what's gone on now in the room.
Yeah.
So that we're not trying to approach the little beastie.
Phases. Different spaces, you say?
Thought you might like that.
Oh, well. Of course. What do we gotta deal with? Is it dangerous up there? You want me to go up there?
Yeah. No, we just thought you might, perhaps your expertise would be useful here. So and I'm just gonna explain, we've encountered this automaton thing that is clutching something. He seems, distraught. He responds very strongly to saying the name Zeph. Then there's Yidjit, who is apparently from the town, Zeph, and she's kind of dazed and out of it. We're not really sure. But when we came down, they stayed in the room, which was very odd.
Mm-hmm. So this platform, it's gotta have a sensor up in the other space. So like once those two sensors connect, we're into their space. Is that what you're saying?
I don't know.
Yep.
Tell
Yeah.
me.
I just did.
Good.
Okay, so I assume this thing in the sad bot thing is the thing we need to grab thing?
We don't know. We just want to explore as a group and try to figure out like what's going on with. I mean, it would be good to get Yijit out of wherever this is if she, I'm sure
Okay, guys.
perhaps she did the
Yeah.
transmission.
Oh, uh-huh.
Okay, something. The transmission came from yesterday.
Well, we don't know that.
Sure, we don't know that. It just says that we arrived at the workshop yesterday.
But we've just received this, so we don't know when it was sent.
Okay,
After spending a little time in the room, like it's pretty clear that the voice on the transmission is the same as the voice in the room, and this is Idjit all the way
Okay,
through.
perfect.
so Blaze sent Idjit and somebody else on this mission some time ago,
Right.
and we don't remember any of it.
Yeah, I
The-
was gonna
the-
say Blaz
The other
sent.
name from the transmission was Kalki.
Kalki.
So apparently Kalki and Idjit were traveling together.
Was Kalki from Zeph, or was Kalki from Ovon?
I don't know that you have a way to know that, although you are now sure that Idjit is from Zeph.
Do any of the five of us remember Kalki?
I mean, if we didn't hear or see, I don't think it would jog our memory.
I think that's an interesting question. I think it's really difficult, but I think that all of you could try a roll for that as you're piecing this together. And now, like, wait, okay, Kalki was a person who apparently knew and was traveling with Idjit. Like, I think that revisiting that is a fair question. I will tell you it'll be hard. So this is an intellect check as you're discussing it from anyone to try to.
Okay, and I have an edge to intellect.
I have. Yeah. I have an inability in any task involving lore, knowledge, or understanding, but I did roll a 17.
Ooh.
Well, I used my effort and rolled an 18.
Okay. Wait, you rolled an 18 and then you also had effort?
Yes.
Oh my, okay. Yeah, you, Gregory, are able to pin down, like, you don't remember any details, but Fission is quite certain that Kalki is someone from Zeph that you have known.
Okay, so Blaze sent a previous team here, probably with the missing piece from the transmission device.
Ooh. Which is supposed to be some kind of travel long distances.
Right, a teleporter of some sort.
There were two inside of the little like packet that Blaz had were four different. It seemed evident there were four pieces. There were 3 triangles and 1 circle, and he gave you a triangle. He kept a triangle. So what was not in the case was 1 triangle and 1 circle.
Interesting.
But he
Well,
did make mention of some kind of teleportation device.
Well, somebody's obviously used the transmitter. Yijit has used the other transmitter to get this message. We're not sure when it was sent, but that begs the question, where is Kalki? And where is the...
I think Kalki's dead.
Yeah.
Gregory thinks that's Kalki's head that's being held by the robot, but that remains to be seen.
I do. I think that robot has got a present from Zeph, or think it is Zeph, or something like that.
I mean, she said they were attacked before they could get whatever they were trying to accomplish done. So we should also be on our guard, because I don't know if it was this automaton that attacked them or what, but...
All right, we're gonna have to go back up there, and somebody is gonna have to actually go up to Idjit and see if they can communicate directly with her by, hey, Idjit, are you in there? Whether or not that means the automaton will attack if we interact or not, we don't know.
Yeah, I mean, at the very least, she's clearly been lost from town for a long
Right.
time, and we should definitely bring her out with us if we can.
Right. Well,
Has it been a long time? I mean, we have some memory of Yidget? Is there...
I suppose, I don't know if it's been a long time, but the way that everyone's memories are working is very strange around this.
Mhm. Is there any way we can, I don't know, try to remember, the last time we saw them?
I think the information you have right now is the same as it's going to be no matter what you do, which is that you are positive that both of these people came from Zeph, and it does feel like you had solid... at some point you've had a solid connection with them, but you don't... You can't put your finger on details. And I am... Physically, she looks in fine shape. So it doesn't seem as though she's been stranded in forgetfulness for weeks on end and is emaciated or something. She looks, if she weren't muttering to herself, she would just be a traveler hanging out in a chair. So.
Okay, so maybe it has not been that long, but that's still a little worrisome that somehow you guys don't remember someone from your town, and Blas, who apparently sent her here, doesn't know that she's here. Should we check up on him? Can we check up on him?
So you could talk into the transmission device, but from not having gotten... that you're out of range of the transmission device. So what would happen is it would record something, and then next time you approach Blas within range, then it would buzz and play back your message. But right now, you're separated from each other. Just as a meta note for a moment, it's 11:35, so time check, we have about 25 minutes left, which is a fine amount of time to kind of figure out this scenario and what you're all going to do. But I just wanted to let everyone know.
all right. Then what we're going to do is everybody on the platform, hit the button. Up we go. I will circle wide to the left around the automaton to approach Idjit.
All rise!
Right?
You kind of sidle around the edge of the room the best you can. The automaton is pretty focused on Kator, and in fact, as you all kind of rise and the automaton can see Kator, appearing again into the space, it kind of, skitters and clamors and looks pretty intently at her, and so it's actually
Dog.
it's actually quite easy for you, Vision, to like get around the edge of the room.
All right. Once I'm around there, I try to focus Idjit's attention on me.
Mhm.
Idjit, what are you doing? Idjit, are you there? Idjit, talk to me.
She doesn't seem to respond much. It's clear as you spend a bit of
Can I
time
touch
interacting. She tends to she's pretty passive about the whole thing. Like if you kind of put a hand on her hand, she, acknowledges it, but just kind of looks back at you. It's clear just with a little bit of interaction that like there is this, everything you've seen so far feels a bit like the way a disease would take over a mind, is kind of the impression that you have. And so this seems like a thing that,
Like she's suffering from dementia or Alzheimer's?
maybe similar to that, but it's definitely a sense of like you feel like there may be medical approaches to this, even if it doesn't solve the root cause.
All right. Then I turn to the rest of the group and say, well, the reason we came up here is because we're looking for spare parts. Some part that Sidri says that we need to replace. Let's search the place for looking at, and hopefully if one of us is holding Idjit, she'll be in the same phase as we are, and when we try to go back down, we can take her with us. Idea? Yes, no, maybe?
Yes, and I want to gently but talk to my little robot friend here and ask him what he's holding. I don't want it to be a head, but I want to know if it is.
It seems conflicted. It kind of feels like it wants to maybe be close to you or listen to you or trust you, and also not at all, and it's kind of doing this little dance.
I don't want to take whatever it is. Can you just show it to me?
Give me one other interaction check.
Okay.
That is just this is pure personality, pure Arcus personality of trying to get this thing to share with you. Yes, exactly.
Okay. You want to just roll?
Yeah, this is going to be an interaction check, and you can, same as always, you can spend stuff or whatnot. I'll give you that benefit, the automatic trained benefit that you had for persuasion from the community factors here.
Excellent. So I rolled a 9.
Okay. It does kind of, stop and makes a little sort of conflicted motion, and then it shows you very quickly a thing that looks like a head. No, it's like a big tuning fork, and then it makes up its mind, and it backs up, and kind of skitters away. But it is pretty clear that it's holding the part that you were looking for.
Damn it.
Tuning fork with never mind.
Tuning fork with
A head on it.
Oh gosh. Are you gonna tell anyone? Couture?
Oh god. I don't want to I kind of like this little thing, and I don't want it to hurt him. I'm
That's
oh,
fine.
it's a dog for me.
A friend!
A friend! Well, I've won his trust, so I'm just gonna very calmly say, okay, so his creature, this automaton, seems to be holding that which we came for. But we want to be very delicate in figuring out how to maybe borrow it from him. Do we have the mangled piece of it? Did you grab that, Sidri?
Probably. Honestly, like, grabs everything.
That's
So.
fair. Yeah, that's fair.
So what I'm hearing is you're going to pet/soothe the buddy. I'm going to take Sidri's broken part, and I'm gonna phase in and grab it and swap it out.
Well,
Great idea. I like that idea.
It's pretty cool.
okay,
What could go wrong, Kator? Come on. You can
notice this.
see. No one notices except you, right?
True.
Look, where did I go? Sidri, you see that? I just did a circle all the way
And now you're
around you.
there. And now you're there. I took that as just a question, and I was like, yes.
Right. Come on.
Okay,
What's it gonna
alright,
do? You
alright.
don't want to hit it, right? We're not gonna
No,
attack
no.
it.
Right, I think this is a peaceful way to resolve this.
Bottom. So, phase sprint is 1 speed point. I have an edge in speed, so it's basically a free action for me. I pass through attacks harmlessly, so I'm trying to like reverse that and harmlessly get to the grief steel.
Sure. I think that makes, I mean, it's basically like the grief steel has this part like clutched in one of its hands, and essentially what you want to do is like have the grief steel be distracted with pets or whatever, and then you want to literally like jam, like phase your hand through and like solidify, and then like, you know,
like a fancy sleight of hand.
Instead of dodging the thing being swiped at you, you're like actively getting in there and doing this thing. So reverse pickpocket.
Yeah. Did you want me to make a speed roll or?
First, I'm gonna ask for yet another interaction check specifically for this distraction. So this is for you, Ktor, of you know, trying to
Nice, buddy.
keep its attention away. And I'll just say it's not super hard at this point. That's like level 3 is going to make it sufficiently distracted that you have a good chance at it.
16.
Okay, that's great. So yeah, you are free to attempt this, Yamu, and this is going to be for you. It's still tricky. I think this is a level 4 check. Little bit tricky, but you're just trying to swap the one thing for the other thing.
18.
Yes.
Oh, good. It does not even notice you, and because the like heft of this thing is like exactly the same as the non-broken melted version of it, you're able to just kind of like slot that thing in place and get out, and you don't think it even noticed. It's still clutching what it thinks is the same part. You get an interesting, when you're in there, you kind of get a look, you're, you know, phasing in and out and looking at things up close. This crest has a huge this piece has the Zeph crest on one side of it. Like this piece was made by Zeph. And you just observe that.
I see.
Yeah, so you're out of there. You've got this thing, and what's next?
Did Sidri or Fission like even notice? How do they react to being like beep beep? Here I am.
Yeah, that's a great question.
Sidri's just like, gimme.
Yeah.
I say, all right. I lift Idget from the chair, walk over next to the.
So as you're lifting her up, a flat kind of purplish shimmery disc like falls from her lap or a pocket or something and clatters on the floor.
Pick it up.
I can't hold her and pick it up.
I'll pick it up.
Okay.
So Katori, if you try to go pick it up, the grief steel sort of looks and kind of takes stock of surrounding and starts like looking around just a little panicked, and then starts following you very closely.
Oh, I do have a pet.
Is it less griefy?
No.
Sad pet. Oh
No! I want you to love me.
It's kind of wailing to itself softly. You have a big emo robot dog is what you've got.
Is there any way to fix that? I mean, they're robots. Can we just factory reset the sadness?
You hold down the button on its back of its neck for 18 seconds and then push 3 times rapidly. And then I think that's a great question for you to approach as a right another day. But you are able, Kator, to pick up the round disc, and yeah, it seems very similar in kind of construction and build to the little triangle that you've got.
Excellent.
Okay, so
Let's take the elevator.
well, as a guess,
Teleporty one?
that'd be a teleport device back to the transmission locator that Blaze has.
Oh, could it be?
It's got a little button on it.
Oh, we should like
Oh,
all hold
gosh.
hands, right?
Yeah, let's all get together.
Oh,
Okay,
I'm
so
touching my robot friend.
Precisely who is included in this little circle of possibly teleportative love?
Everybody.
Okay.
I want my
Well-
dog too.
Yeah.
Kumbaya.
All right.
Like I said, I will hold.
Are we about to get splinched?
I hope to God not. I'll hold Idget. We'll, with one arm, put my hand on Kator, and let everybody else hold hands or pull together. Any disagreements?
Nope. I'm
No,
gonna make sure
let's do it.
Then I'm
I'm
guessing
a robot dog.
Kator's touching Robot Dog as well.
Yes.
All right. Kator, press away.
Platform up or down right now?
The problem is, I think if we go down, we may lose the dog. Somebody's not holding him. So let's see if we can teleport between phases. We know that we can use
That
transmission.
sounds so dangerous.
Well, they can use transmission of sound between phases. So can we transmit matter?
Wow, I would just love to be a science experiment.
My favorite thing.
That does
All
not
right. So
reassure me.
what's the final? What's the verdict on?
We're up and we're punching the button.
Okay.
You're up and you're punching the button. Okay. Cool. You appear within just a couple of feet of Lolija and Blaz, who are sitting still back at the thing, the machine in the center. They are both in exactly the same state at this point as Yijit.
No.
And as a matter of fact, you can see that like the little case that Blaz had with the triangles and the circle and whatever, he was maybe holding it and it has like fallen to the ground, and it's obvious that that's like the thing you were beaming back to. You like land as close as possible, conveniently to that thing. Yeah, at the moment now you've got three folks that are not super coherent, but you have a part in place, and it seems to be precisely what you need for the machine fixing. So...
All right, Sidri, you're up.
Put the part in the thing, and then to the stand up the other thing in the...
So if you fail this level 8 roll, the entire adventure is for naught. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, you've got plenty of...
roll it.
You've
I
got
don't need effort.
you've got some time, and you slot the thing back in place, and as soon as you do, you can feel that like the rate at which all the blue stuff is burbling like regularizes into a pulse instead of just kind of like chaos. And there's some more time required to sort of like set this thing up again and, you know, get it all in place. And, you know, the fix you put in place today is not permanent, but it's solid. It's going to hold for a good week or something, you're sure of it, and there's time to come back and sort of stabilize it later. But the burbling part worked well. Immediately, as soon as you sort of click that thing into place, there's a blast of like an energy blast from that point just outward. That's like, it's like a big bubble of just like clear, fresh air. It's like a good energy blast that just like pushes away like all the weird things you've been feeling and everything else, and just like it just feels like you've taken a deep breath, or like you just visited the oxygen bar, right? And actually immediately you can see that you know, the three folks who are most affected by this virus are now kind of starting to stir and look around and become more cogent just as they sit there. So in time, I'm just gonna montage all of this. You return back to your villages, but now with a new regard and respect for each other and your common shared history. But further investigation, it seems like what happened is this device was put in place a very long time ago as kind of a huge mystical air purifier, right? Just to protect the entire valley and all of its citizens from certain kinds of bad things. And specifically, as you investigate it more, you find out that it's mental effects that it particularly protects from. But there was, along, you know, a few generations ago, there was a virus that started spreading in the valley, and it like got sucked up by this thing and got like contained and caught by it, and was held in like quarantine this whole time as the device was functioning. But you know, at some point in the long past, the device fell over, no one was there to maintain it, eventually something ruptured, and this virus is actually what like burst out and escaped into the valley. And yes, in fact, Blas had previously sent out a party. It was actually like yesterday,
Oh my God.
because this is all new and fresh, and everyone involved, including Blas, had forgotten that they had even had anyone sent out. But
What happened to Kalki?
who knows how many times that's happened before. Kalki is still around, but was lost wandering through the swamps, and an organized search party between Zeph and Ovan was able to find him the next day, still able to be nursed back. So there you have it. This has been Forgetting Doomsday. Thank you so much. Thank you to people out there in the world watching. Thank you for the donations that we got. Yeah, it's been super. I love that I have gotten to know each of you a little in various weird online ways, but having you all together in a virtual room has just been an utter delight for me. So thank you.
It's always a pleasure to be weird on the internet.
I
You
never
excel
did
at that.
What? No, not us. Thank you for chilling with us, and you donated the friend. I think it was Greg's friend, so I appreciate that.
Well, the friend in question was actually my wife.
Ah!
Oh, yay!
She took out time from her soap making and soap packaging to watch the Twitch stream since I couldn't.
Oh, that's
Aw.
wonderful. That's great.
That's lovely.
It is good. And also thank you, Ian, disembodied Ian, wherever you are, for making all this happen. Technically, I certainly could not have done that, and I really appreciate it. Ken, if you're out there, thanks for making the whole weekend happen. The one final request from Ken, and I have no idea how to do this, is it possible for us to send
Yeah,
on the
Ian's
Twitch
gonna
side
do
of
it.
things to
Yeah.
go raid the next one? Okay. Cool.
Easy peasy /raid. We're gonna kick down the doors and they're gonna raid other people because they're gonna smash people's faces in Apex, and the scholarship
That's-
funding continues.
That is so good. Yeah. Do any of you
It
have
doesn't
any...
look like they're quite live yet.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, we'll hold out until that's true. We're not even at we're not even at mid-noon yet. Any final character thoughts as we close? What has this meant for your character, and what do the next 5 years look like in the Vale?
Well, the question I've got is, does Kator get their dog?
The most important question.
Important question.
History is going to
This
work
is-
very hard to figure out how we cure an automaton's grief.
Yeah, that is a
Counseling for
fast.
automatons.
So
Well, I mean,
canonically. Oh, go ahead.
I don't think we can reset its to default settings since it's got a machine intelligence. It's kind of like giving it a lobotomy.
Can we give
It's
it?
true.
Can we give it robot therapy?
I think it's just, it's the puppy that you get from the shelter, and it just takes a while to learn that it
dog.
really can receive some love and some care. And so, yeah, I think it's a process. But yeah, I think that your formerly grief-stricken Steel returns to a sense of love and light and purpose as an automaton.
And
Yeah.
he will be by my side in my campaign to become a leader in my own right. I continue to foster this connection that we've built.
I think
That's my dream, is to lead. And I'm like, oh, this went really well. I'm so proud of myself. Like, let's keep this connection going.
So-
Everyone is like intimidated. They're like, this person has the power to befriend giant machines. We should listen to this.
You should listen to the power of friendship.
Hey, as a side bonus, well, first of all, what are you going to name it?
It's so
Yeah.
hard. I don't
since
have
I'm
like. I
since
like
I'm
to
not
like.
I'm not on Twitch or chat. Are they still around to offer advice? Names?
Ooh, that's a great idea.
I like to name my pets Tolkien themed, so just keep that in mind.
There's nobody better here to come up with the perfect Tolkien-themed name than you.
I know, but I don't want.
Friend.
I want to save Glorfindel for a real life pet. I don't
Yeah.
want my imaginary pet to be Glorfindel. It's just such a good name.
But that's reasonable. You can take your time with it. But one thing I will say is that, as a aside, one thing that it can do is it can very slowly generate Sirenium, and so once a month it hairballs up a unit of Sirenium, which is very, very useful to the rights in and among your community. So, Sidri is gonna.
Sidri changes sides.
No, like I'll just come by for a tune-up, once a month.
Yeah.
To be paid in Sirenium. We have a note in the chat, from your wife, Greg, that someone else donated as well, Alex Tully, who was also running a game as well. So,
Oh, cool.
Alex is spreading all the love around.
Boop, 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 be-doo. How was this, Greg, for you, since you are new to stream?
Yeah.
I am terribly self-conscious about the fact that I slouch horribly in and out of frame, and it's very cool and very weird. I started Well, like I told Jason when he first Zoom chatted me, this is my first time on Space Phone.
Yeah.
It's just like Star Trek, Space Phone.
Future.
Yeah, and yeah, I think it's pretty cool. I've been trying to run a Roll20 game with friends of mine from my D&D group, since my players are in Ohio and Mississippi now, and it's been very, very weird. I can't grab a book and go, "Hey, this is what you see." But yeah, if I get more bandwidth, I think this will be a pretty cool event. I'll have to do it more often.
I think it was amazing to play with you. I love how you brought Fission to life. I love
Thank you.
how everyone brings these characters to different lives every time this adventure is played.
Well, you ran it before, right, Jess?
Yeah.
It's Jess, right?
Yes.
And given the fact that you ran it, how do you think we twisted or spun it compared to the players you had?
It's interesting because, like Jason mentioned earlier, it was designed to be run at a convention table for 4 hours. So I came into it trying to like remove myself because I wanted to experience it, and Jason did a really good job of modifying it to keep it in that 3-hour time slot. I think we jumped into our characters pretty easily and leaned into a lot of things. It's streaming. You're right. It's very weird. It's a very different scenario because it's hard to like look at the screen. I'm looking at me, but then looking at you guys and trying to read the table, but it's really hard to see people's faces. And then you're like, oh, but I got to read chat. But like, I think everyone did a really good job. And it's always the really fun quips that end up being memorable, like Cafefe and Griefsteel Puppy and the Nano being like, hurry up, Cedri. So I really enjoyed it. And Cedri, it was a beautiful write. You and your maker life. It's so good. I'm checking in. It looks like they finally went live, so we should be good to hop out, say goodbye, and raid the One Shot Network.
All right. Well, it's been great, folks. Thank you all for having me, and maybe we'll have a more online interaction as days go by.
Yeah. Thank you guys for watching.
That was so fun.
Take us away.